gonna dial themselves, okay? Without you, they're just worthless hunks of plastic. Like a loaded M16 without a trained Marine to pull the trigger. And in the case of the telephone, it's up to each and every one of you, my highly trained Stratonites, my killers who will not take no for an answer, my fucking warriors, who will not hang up the phone until their client either buys or fucking dies! Let me tell you something. There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. Because at least as a rich man, when I have to face my problems, I show up in the back of a limo wearing a $2,000 suit and a $40,000 gold fucking watch. Hey boys, duke it out! Hit him! Get the fuck off of me! Now if anyone here thinks I'm superficial or materialistic, go get a job at fucking McDonald's, because that's where you fucking belong. But before you depart this room full of winners, I want you to take a good look at the person next to you. Go on. Because sometime in the not-so-distant future, you're going to be pulling up to a red light, and you beat up old fucking Pinot, and that person's going to be pulling up right alongside you in their brand new Porsche with their beautiful wife by their side who's got big, voluptuous tits. And who are you going to be sitting next to? Some disgusting wildebeest with 3 days of razor stubble and a sleeveless muumuu crammed in next to you in a carload full of groceries from the fucking Price Club. That's who you're going to be sitting next to. So you listen to me and you listen well. Are you behind on your credit card bills? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. Is your landlord ready to evict you? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. Does your girlfriend think you're a fucking worthless loser? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
这段影片相信不陌生，《华尔街之狼》的本尊乔登·贝尔福，看过的人应该比较少。接下来我们再来看一下乔登出狱后的一段专访吧。
The saddest night of my life for sure was the night before I went to jail. I had to tell the kids. It wasn't like the movie, they took me away, I reported for jail, right? And my wife and I, my ex-wife, we sat down with the kids on it was a Thursday night, and we called the kids into the living room. They're like, what's up? And I started telling my kids, you know, I said, listen, you know, a long time ago, you know, that when I had that big company and I made some mistakes, and I didn't get even, as soon as I started getting even close to it, my daughter starts bursting out, hysterically crying, and my son was very young, and she just starts crying because my daughter's crying, and it's this terrible, like this just gut-wrenching scene where my daughter's like, no, she's all about laughing, and the kids are hugging me, and we're just like, just the worst thing you can imagine. I mean, tell your kids that daddy made a mistake, now he's got to go away, you know? And, you know, I was guilty. I couldn't say I was trapped with this. I did it. I made a mistake. I took some great skill that I made the mistakes and I deserve to be there. So I had no one to blame but myself. I made the mistakes, and it's very difficult when you have to come to terms with that, right? And I think when people watch the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, it's important that they look at that movie and say, you know what? I get it. It's glamorous and it's fun, you know, because I'm not going to deny that it was fun. It was glamorous, yeah. But there's something called balance in there, that when you are that character, that never ends well. It just never ends well. And one question that I get asked all the time, you know, how was I able to stay positive and motivated in what was certainly the worst time of my life? I mean, I lost all my money, I lost my freedom, I lost my children for a time, my wife bottomed out, right? And I said, you know, I think about it, I said, you know, here's the secret. When I was in jail, in those moments, you know, and the worst moments of all were at nighttime, when you're in your bunk and people were asleep and you're alone with your thoughts and you could just really get negative. And the answer was that in bed, when I was alone with my thoughts, I would close my eyes and I would visualize the faces of my two children. And I closed my eyes and I'd see their faces, and I knew I had let them down so badly, caused them so much pain. And I said, there's nothing I won't do. There's no length I won't go to prove to these kids that their dad can do it right, that dad's gonna come back even better than before. And it was all about proving to my children that you could come back from failure, that you could make the world right, and I could be an example, make them proud of me. That was my why. It was all about my kids. And that's the secret. Your why, it's never about you. People will do crazy things for causes they believe in, but for yourself, you only go so far. My kid's in trouble, I'll run through a wall of fire, I wouldn't think twice about it. And that's step number one. You have to have a vision for your future that inspires you, that makes you, so when you think about it, it just makes you jump out of bed in the morning to really have a life that is far better, far greater than it is today. That's your vision for the future. That's step number one. The second thing is, this is a big one, and what most people miss. You have to have a strategy, a plan that allows you to achieve your vision. I was on the beach one day in the summer in New York. There's a huge beach, Jones Beach, and it was a hot summer sunny day, and everyone's bitching and moaning because they have to walk about a half a mile to the concession stand. And I'm with my friends, I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I went down here with like some Italian ices and chipwiches and fudgicles, right? Seems like a good idea. I'll sell them for $1 a piece, Next morning, I wake up, I look in the yellow pages, it was back, no internet. I find some ice cream distributor, I take my old beaten up car down there, I go buy a styrofoam cooler, and I load up a cooler with a barrel of Italian ices and chipwiches and fudgicles, Milky Way Snickers, right? Put some dry ice on top. The whole thing loaded up was $22, including the cooler. The cooler was $7, the ice cream was $15, right? I get in my car, drive an hour to the beach, it's like maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, I get there. I walk, carry it down there, I walk to the edge of the water, right? And I start yelling, Italian ices, chipwiches, fudgicles, milk. Within 1 hour, I sold out the entire cooler for $125. And I made $100 in 1 hour. And the year was 1978. Back then, minimum wage, I think, was $1.20 an hour. I was made more than my parents that day. I went back with 4 coolers, right? Who wouldn't, right? I got 4 coolers, right? So I loaded them up, went down, sold all those out. Made $400 or $500 my second day. Changed my life. Here's the interesting thing. I told 4 or 5 friends about this. And here's the weird thing. They all went out and did it with me. But only one of them sold more than 1 cooler a day. The other, there's 5 people, 4 would sell 1 cooler and stop. Only one of them would go out like me, hustle all day long and make these, $500 versus $100 a day. Why is that? Like, why would someone do that? Here, they're young, when none of us have money, and you have this opportunity in your sights where you can make big money and that can change your life. Yet most of them, 80%, stopped with 1 cooler. They were 1 cooler people. Only one of them was a 4 cooler person, right? One of my friends. That comes down to this last element of the sort of what I call the inner game of success. Like, what happens up here between your ears before you ever go out into the world and take action. And that is your standards. Some people, watch how this relates. Some people, they have a really bright vision, a bold vision. It's great, grand vision, right? Amazing, wow, inspiring. But they have low standards. They're not willing to do the work. A champagne vision and beer standards, right? And then you have the other sort of people, those with really high standards, but they lack a vision for the future. They don't have a vision that inspires them. So these are like the workers where they sort of have this champagne standards and a beer vision. It's about having a match between your standards and your vision. And the question always is, well, what should my standards be? It doesn't matter. They should be congruent with your vision. There's no right or wrong answer. How much money, it doesn't matter. You have to have that vision for the future. Number 2, you have to have the strategies to make the vision a reality. But number 3, you have to be able to share that vision with other people, to communicate the vision to people in a way that moves them to take action, to come help you achieve it, that gets them going, gets them pumped. There's a clip of Warren Buffett. It's actually Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. And one young lady asks Buffett a question. And she says, we're going out into the workforce. What can we do to make ourselves more valuable in the workforce? Good question, right? And Warren Buffett looks at her, and I think, okay, he's going to say, study your financial tables, learn how to be an expert on banking, whatever it might be, picking out companies, whatever, right? No. You know what he says? He goes, there's one thing you can do. Go take a course and study communication, sales, persuasion. That's what you got to do, because that's a skill that they don't teach in college. They don't really teach, right? And it's the most crucial skill out there. In fact, as he says, when I got out of college, Warren Buffett says, I was a terrible communicator. I couldn't sell anything, right? So what did I do? He went out and took a course. Now, back then, the gold standard was Dale Carnegie, right? This is many, many years ago. And he took that course, and he says, it changed my life because it allowed me to go out there and communicate and sell. Because here's the deal. What would Warren Buffett be if he had never taken that course? If he never learned how to close the deal, what would Warren Buffett be today? You know what he'd be? he'd be the most successful money manager in Omaha, Nebraska that nobody ever heard of. When someone like Warren Buffett, who's like the opposite of what you think a salesperson is, right, says that that's the skill. If you want to do one thing to improve your life and really ensure that you get what you want in life, learn how to communicate, learn how to sell, learn how to communicate, learn how to sell, right? Because people, without that, you die with your music on your lips. You can't, it's like, it kills me because there's so many people out there in the world that have these great ideas, right? They have this great passion inside, and they can make a difference in the world and a difference in their own lives and their family, right? All the stuff they could do. And yet, because they lack the ability to communicate this idea, to sell their idea to other people, they end up keeping it locked inside, and they die without ever expressing themselves. I mean, to me, that's the saddest thing. My wife now, who's my inspiration, like one of the things that she said to me was so funny, is when we first met, wow, she says, I have never met someone that is so fearless. Like you have all this stuff and you're just plowing forward, you're fearless. I said, sweetheart, I said, I'm scared shit. I'm just not letting it stop me. I am scared. And that's what courage is all about. I let my fear plow me forward, push me forward. And that's something you have to reframe in your own. It's really a reframe about what fear is, what pain really is. Pain is the greatest motivating force in the world. But if you're going to go into denial and become numb yourself to the pain, you're going to live a smaller and smaller life until one day when you're old in bed and ready to die, you'll look back at all the things that you could have done, you should have done, you would have done, and you didn't do because you thought, well, you know what, I'm okay. I'm doing decent. That's not so terrible as people were. You know what, fuck that. Don't live that life. Don't be the person that looks back and has regret and didn't take action to get what they truly wanted in life. When you're not feeling massive pain, human beings tend to just sort of, well, I'll stay pat. Don't do that. Take the pain, take the bitter pill, because you know what? That bitter pill will end up being sweet. And if you're living that life, you're 25, 28 years old, or 22, whatever old, or 40 years old, right? And you're in this sort of dead-end job. It's not what you want to do. Don't think for a split second that this is your lot in life, that you have to stay on this road. At any moment in time, you can make a decision. You can get off that road and start going down a completely different road. And you know what? Yeah, there'll be some pain, there'll be some lack in your life. And you know what? That's what will drive you to greatness. It starts by having the vision for the future, to really see your life better than it is right now. And that was my secret. And that is going to be your secret too. When you find that why, once you have that power, then you will definitely achieve your vision, no matter what. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen. I promise you.
贝尔福特1962年出生，本人极具煽动力。他在访谈中强调，成功来自于4个因素：1. 远见；2. 状态管理；3. 信念；4. 行动。他的经典语录中，我写取一部分出来分享。1. 如果你觉得金钱不重要，那你很快就会破产。就好像如果你觉得你老婆不重要，那么你们的婚姻很快就会完蛋。2. 如果你想让世界变得更好，就去尽可能多的赚钱吧，然后把钱分散出去，通过挥霍。3. 金钱可以为你带来法拉利，但真正让你快乐的并不是法拉利，而是满足感。4. 恐惧是最具破坏力的情绪。决心，确定你要做的事情。清醒，让自己不乱。勇气，要有一个信念，虽然不一定总是正确的，但必须停止恐惧。如果说世界上的富人和穷人的区别，那就是富人面对恐惧依然行动，穷人面对恐惧选择回避。最后就是做事，重要的是努力取得进展，而不是让事情完美。接下来我们再来回忆一下重要的片段。
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
You have to have that vision for the future. Number 2, you have to have the strategies to make the vision a reality. But number 3, you have to be able to share that vision. There's a clip of Warren Buffett. It's actually Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. And one young lady asks Buffett a question. And she says, we're going out into the workforce. What can we do? He goes, there's one thing you can do. Go take a course and study communication. It starts by having the vision for the future, to really see your life better than it is right now. And that was my secret.
今天的分享就到这里，下一期我想再做一期关于乔登的演讲影片，有喜欢的再期待下一次吧。